Okay, hello everybody, welcome to TìandTarot, or welcome back to TìandTarot if you've been here before. So for today's video, last week I think, or a few weeks ago, I don't know when this video is coming out, hey gorgeous, I did a video on ghost stories, Reddit Ghost Stories to be exact, and they didn't hit the spot for me, okay? Like, they weren't giving what I wanted it to give. They weren't, the right kind of ghost stories for me. So I did a little digging so I could find the right ones. She's so gorgeous. Look at my baby. You covered in cat hair though. Well, you are a hairy lady. Very furry. Just like your mama. Anyways, and I have found some. And it's now like, am I the asshole? I did this ghost story thing. Like I told someone their house was haunted when it wasn't, that kind of thing. So I'm really excited. I haven't actually read any of them, so I don't know what they're going to be, but I'm very excited to get into them. So without further ado, let's get into today's tarot reading ghost story Reddit video for Halloween. Okay, so the thing is, the stories are not on my phone, they're on my laptop, and I'm filming on my laptop right now. So I'm going to be reading like as if I'm reading from your face, but it's just my laptop, okay?
Okay, go.
Okay, so this story is, am I the asshole for faking a haunting to get my ex-boyfriend to move out of my apartment? No, and I'm ready. I'm ready to hear what you have to say. Right, and it's by Hooded Banana, with 2 A's on the end. Okay, so I, 28 female, broke up with my boyfriend, Steve, 31 male, 6 months ago. We had been living together, and after the breakup I gave him plenty of time to find a new place. He kept saying things like, I just need a little more time, the market's crazy and I can't find a place that allows ferrets. He doesn't have a ferret. I don't know why he said that. Right, okay, yeah, he weren't going. You had to do what you had to do. Okay, fast forward to 6 months and this man is still leaving beard trimmings in the sink and playing scrim until 3 AM. You know, I've lived with people who, you know, whether it's beard trimmings, fringe trimmings, move it. Okay. I was losing it. So naturally, I decided to haunt my own apartment. It started small, whispers through the vents, flickering lights. I brought an old porcelain doll from Facebook Marketplace and moved it to different locations every night. I whispered, "Get out, Stephen," in my phone, slowed it down 800% and made it play from inside the walls via a Bluetooth speaker.
That is amazingly funny.
I even got my friend who does special effects makeup to pretend to be a Victorian child ghost in the hallway mirror. How'd you pull that one off? Because she got to run and hide before he, identifies it as a person. Steve started losing sleep. He saged the place, brought holy water and started talking to the doll like it was real. Then one night he packed a bag, looked me dead in the eye and said, "The spirits have chosen you. I can't fight them anymore," and he left. He's now living with his sister. I've reclaimed my space. The doll is in my closet and sometimes I still whisper at it for fun. Now here's where it gets spicy. Steve found out it was me. My friend posted behind the scenes pics of the ghost makeup on her Instagram. He saw it and messaged me a very long paragraph calling me a manipulative monster with a flair for the theatrical, which honestly was kind of flattering. Oh my god, she's me. My friends are divided. Half say I'm a genius and deserve a Netflix deal. The other half say I should have just kicked him out the normal way, and that gaslighting by a ghost might be ethically questionable. So, bitch, he wasn't leaving. Did you not hear the first part of the story? Okay, whatever. Shit, so what do you want her to do? If follow the ethical route, follow the standard route, so call the popo? You'd rather I call the popo on him than have a nice little fun game? No, it's boring. Come on, baby. And we know the popo wouldn't do shit. Okay, so she had to do what she had to do. Okay, so am I the asshole for faking a full-on haunting to evict my emotionally clingy ex? Lads, say it with me. No, she wasn't, right? Because one, he wasn't leaving, okay? You have to do what you have to do. The bitch wasn't leaving. You gotta do it, right? Two, it's fun. It's fun. How many people out there can say, I evicted my ex via fake haunting? Okay, not many. Can you ask people if they evicted their ex via telling them to leave and they left nicely, politely, or they didn't leave and they called the police. Yes, there's hundreds of stories like that. Why would we need another one? This is beautiful. This is beautifully executed, and it's very fun to read for me, okay, someone who wasn't involved. I think that would be really fun to do, to be honest. This is right up my alley, so my personal bias could be getting in the way, where I think this is a great idea and some people would think this is insane, because it probably messed with his psyche for a few, months that he lived there. But he should have left. Why was he this thing, it was haunted from his perspective, and he was still there, still clinging on, despite the fact he was trying to move out, trying to leave, supposedly. He'd had every opportunity to do that. He's saying he's looking up houses in the market, okay? Why are you still here then? Like, it took him the last straw to finally get out. Also, I love that he said the spirits have chosen you, I can't fight them anymore. That is so funny, because it's literally like, like in movies, they're always like a married couple and then they're like, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you when I was 5, like, there was this ghost, it's obsessed with me and it said it wants to like marry me when I'm older and like will kill my lover who stands in the way of us, but I didn't think that was important to tell you and we're just gonna stay together, okay? And then they're always like, we'll work through this together because we're a married couple. There would be a Katie-shaped hole in the door the second they say ghost. Like, there's a ghost fighting for you, you don't have to tell me twice, they can have you. Okay, there's plenty of fish in the sea, goodbye. Like, the fact that he's like, I'm out, they picked you, is so on point, is so realistic, honestly. Okay, now being serious, are you the arsehole for doing this prank? I feel like no, because he was not leaving. Could you have done it in a better way? Sure. But we weren't there dealing with his beard trimmings, so you had to do what you felt was best in the moment. Don't look back on the past and regret it. Just move forward, okay? And learn from this if there's a learning. If there's no learning, keep doing it in the future, because it's very entertaining. But also, I think, like, no people on the internet were there dealing with him and his BS. You were. And you wanted your space and you wanted him gone. You had to do what you had to do. And it just so happened that you were, thinking this was the best way to do it. So I think all good. Okay, so to get into some of the comments, some of the most top rated comments on the post, Neva Inspector 9496 says, you're not the arsehole. He had 6 months to move out and still didn't get the hint. If he's emotionally clingy enough to stay in a breakup for that long, a little paranormal push doesn't sound too over the top. He'll have plenty of time to reflect on his spirits while living at his sister's. You know what, this is true as well, because like if I was like, a relationship has ended, I've been broken up with, I'm not staying for 6 months. Like, I'm gone the day it happens, because I'm like, okay, you don't get to have me. You don't get to be around me, listening to my funny stories, listening to me coming home from work telling you all the juicy gossip. You don't get none of the good times. Like, I would be really like resentful. So I wouldn't even want to stay anyway. It's uncomfortable as well. It's like, okay, so we're moving on with our lives in different directions, not with each other. Let's do that. Like, let's not stay like sort of stuck in time, like just frozen. Like that it doesn't make sense. Like, he was obviously hoping to either get a free ride, continue to get a free ride, or he was hoping for this to rekindle. None of those options that this writer said that they wanted. So yeah, you have to get him out of there, and if this works, this works. Like, okay, and OK Somewhere 911 says, this is so genuinely funny.
Vindication!
Like, there are so many sensible things you could do to clear someone out of your house, but you went straight for fake haunting, and I love you for that. Yes, agreed. I think it's so funny that, like, as they've said, that was where your head went. It just so happened that that was the first thing you thought of, and I love it and I'm here for it, okay? I laughed while reading this. You didn't evict him, you exorcised him. Honestly, the only spirits here were your creativity and spite, and both were possessing. When talking doesn't work and he won't leave, summon the drama. Just maybe skip the ghost next time and go straight to a lease agreement. This is the thing, because I've dealt with so many people where talking doesn't work, like you're trying to have like a normal adult conversation with them. It's not effective. Where do you go from there? Because the options, if you want to get really serious, lead to nothing but sadness for everybody. But if you want to deal with it and actually get rid of the problem, and you think of doing it in a creative, fun way like this, I think that's a better option than going down the more serious route. So it's better to do this than to do one of the more like drastic measures of like, okay, now we need to make this legal. So I think this was perfect, to be honest. I don't think there was a better way you could have dealt with it, but I am being biased. Okay, this next story is, am I the asshole for not caring or saying that my apartment is haunted to a new roommate? This person was voted not the asshole. The story begins, oh boy, where do I even begin with this one? First off, this post isn't about the science or lack thereof of what the paranormal is or isn't. I want to be somewhat distanced from that. Lived here for about 2 years. One night on my second month, when I was about to enter into sleep on the couch, that is such a weird way to put it, when they were about to go to sleep on the couch, I heard what sounded like a mechanical tune from a children's toy for like 4 to 5 seconds, like a Jack in the Box. That would be a fair explanation. That would shit me up. I was half asleep and just attributed it to a dream-induced auditory hallucination or a sound from the TV. It occurred again another night, which got me interested. I wondered if it was something coming from the outside, since the window was ajar. Maybe another apartment, but I didn't hear any other external sounds in this old, thick concrete block. Not a peep. The third time around, I froze in my steps, and the top of my mind went to ... echoes from the past. I mean, this is just fucking cool and sort of sweet. I can't characterize it very well. It's a tiny sound, but like, it's neither near nor far. It should sound like it's on the floor, but it sounds like it's under a thick blanket, like an ice cream truck is around the corner or something. It occurs about once every other week. For me, it's just like a, well, I guess that happened type of thing after the first few instances of this. Was I supposed to be freaked out or something? There's also a few other types of sounds, like a split-second sound of a drawer or a cabinet opening type thudding. Can't say I really care that much. Sometimes I don't even remember it until I'm reminded of it. Yeah, you don't have to be freaked out. Everyone reacts different to things. Because I feel like I know where this is going. I decided to reduce costs by getting a roommate a few months ago. I met someone for coffee and hit it off. No apparent issue as far as ability to pay, or owning too much stuff, no pets, agreeable demeanour, etc. And move-in day was a breeze. But as it turns out, well, let's just say some people are more sensitive than others. I received a call one evening and she was hysterical and had barricaded herself in her room. I rushed home. She said she was in the kitchen minding her own business when all of a sudden she was startled by what sounded like thudding, which of course was followed by Casper's silly toy playing up. The immediate impression was that of an intruder and she panicked and ran to her room. Her anxiety was so bad I had to take her out to the bar to have some beers to help take the edge off. I apologised that I didn't tell her about it. It just slipped my mind really. But did I have to apologise? I informed her she's free to leave without paying, or I could accept some lower rent. She just kept looking at me like I'm some asshole running a house of horrors, so I just kept shrugging and downing Coors Lights. Okay. Are you the asshole for this? The thing is, I'm gonna say yes, but also no. Like, it's like a 50-50, like a medium kind of... see what I did there? No, like a medium kind of, you're an asshole, because... The thing is, from my perspective, if I was moving into a place and you didn't tell me it was haunted, that's information I would like to know before I agree to move there. I might still move in, but I also might not, okay? But I would like to know up front. So if you have the information, say it. But at the same time, if you say, oh, by the way, my house is haunted, you look crazy. Like, believing in ghosts is still seen as, like, you being crazy, even though, like, we've all seen stuff, alright? We've all been through stuff. It's seen as like weird, crazy, you're a weirdo, you know, maybe they wouldn't have moved in with you and that's gonna fumble your money and you need the money, right? Which is manipulative, but like in this economy, come on, like do what you gotta do. But at the same time, you're kind of not the asshole because to you you're not even bothered. Like, it's not coming to your head as a thing to even discuss. It's not coming to your mind as a thing to even bring up, like, an important topic of conversation. It's not, like, a big deal. To you, it's like, why would I even mention it? I don't even remember it myself, kind of thing. Because for you, hauntings and creepy little sounds, they don't bother you. I've met people like this, they aren't bothered by it. But it's like boom, boom, crash, bang all around them, and they're like... and I'm like, are we in the same room? Like, are we hearing the same things? So you're not the arsehole because it slipped your mind. Like, yes, it's information that would be nice for you to share, but you're also not obligated to. And also, there is a stigma around believing in ghosts. So, like, why would you when you don't know this person? Like, I get admitting to, like, a friend, like, that, you know, you've seen ghosts or whatever, and you guys tell each other your ghost stories. But, like, this is a stranger, ultimately, and it's like, as your first impression, do you really want them to see you as someone who believes in ghosts and then have that stigma attached to it? You know, it's something that I used to be quite uncomfortable by and still am, but I do it anyway because I'm like, nah, they real. They real. Like, and to top it off as well, I think, like, her staring at you like you're crazy is totally valid, because she's coming from an emotional place where she's, like, traumatized by these things, because these things are, like, not something she's as comfortable with as you are. So it's valid, it's fair to be completely honest. But, like, that doesn't mean that you're the arsehole. That's just how she's feeling, and unfortunately she's, like, letting it out onto you, kind of thing. But you're not the arsehole for not saying it, but there's, like, a 20% responsibility, okay, that you should have said something. But it makes sense that you're someone who it slipped your mind because you're not even bothered by it. Additionally, you can't, because, again, they're a stranger, you don't know if they're going to be bothered or if they're going to be more like you, where you don't really care. Like, you don't know each other, that's the point. Like, you know, you are ultimately strangers. This isn't a conversation that would just come naturally when you first meet someone. It's, of course, going to happen later. And to you, what, as you said, at first you thought it was like an auditory hallucination when it comes to, like, sleeping. So for you, you're probably thinking it's just a you thing, and until you have that confirmation that someone else has heard it, why would you bring it up, kind of thing, you know? It just doesn't make sense that you would bring it up. So I get her feelings, but yeah, it's not your fault. So some of the top comments, this one is by Threef. I think I've said that right. Not the arsehole, they're renting. It's their job to ask about the apartment. It's no different from broken shower doors or not working AC. If you showed them their room and they agreed to everything, then it's their fault for not asking. I mean, you don't ask, is this house haunted too often, but simply, is it quiet at night is a normal question. I'm gonna massively disagree, because I think, like, when I first rented a place, it looked fine, it looked great. I was asking all these questions. How do you find it? Like, you know, what's it like here? I asked every question you could ask, okay? And I was still not prepared for the fucking secrets that house had, okay? So I disagree, because I don't know the house. You know the house. You have to tell me, okay? But I agree, like, yes, the renter should ask questions, but I think it's 50-50 responsibility there, where also the landlord needs to inform you about stuff as well. Another comment, not the arsehole. I believe in ghosts, but that's not something you're required to disclose when subletting, because there's no scientific way to qualify that. And beyond that, you sound like you genuinely didn't think it was real until someone else experienced it. Here's some woo advice. Say out loud when you hear noises, go away, you aren't welcome here. Here's some practical advice. Don't pay her anything, just tell her if she's not happy, she can depart with a month's notice. Someone replied, failed talk show host, which is the OP, the writer, said, does it have to be a ghost? I lean more towards past echoes finding their way back. I don't think it's that. I think it's poltergeist, because the types of sounds you're hearing is more aligning to that. But, like, echoes are slightly different to that. And Deleted said, I mean, I'm agnostic, so I don't know. I've definitely seen a ghost or something else I can't put a better label on once in my life, and that's a good crazy story. I would focus less on worrying about the ghost. For whatever I believe, I don't believe there's much power to harm you. Not like a horror movie. I would focus more on giving her an amicable way out. Something weird is going on there. I just saw a random Reddit thread where some guy thought he was being stalked and turned out he had carbon monoxide poisoning. Not enough symptoms with you that I think it would be that, but he was hallucinating and stuff until someone on Reddit suggested that he got a detector, and oops. Here's the thing, everyone says this, and I think take it seriously, go and check. At one of my dad's old houses, shit was crazy, and he is like really on top of, you know, making sure his house and everything is in order and up to date and whatever. He did those carbon monoxide tests constantly because we were both hearing things, and he doesn't believe in ghosts, so he's like, okay, it's gotta be something, and everything was fine. Like every single time, everything came back fine, and we were just like, I was like, I told you, and he's like, no, it's not that, and we're sitting there listening to stuff, and I'd be like, and he'd be like, and then I'd be like, and he'd be like, so, you know, I agree, definitely go get that checked out. But also they heard the exact same sounds. If it is carbon monoxide poisoning, surely there's not a guarantee you're going to hear the same stuff. Like, as they said, someone got paranoid they were being stalked, so the carbon monoxide affects everyone differently, and what someone else is going to hear or think is not the same as what the other person will. So if you're hearing the same sounds, it's probably the same thing, and it's probably not carbon monoxide. But go get checked anyway. Bacardi Coke said, not the asshole, but if she leaves and you put out an ad for a haunted apartment, you could definitely get another roommate who is probably goth. And then someone replied, Mountain Times 1996 replied, goths tend to be clean as fuck and honestly would probably love the opportunity to make friends with whatever it is. That just made me laugh, because I feel like you can definitely find someone who's into that, and they'll probably actually pay you more rent for the fact that they're getting the exposure to it, so just do that. And she, you know, she don't want to be there anyways, so let her go. Okay, this next one, lads, I'm livid. I just filmed for like another hour all these stories, and my camera just like, the footage got corrupted or something, so it's not here, so I gotta redo it. So I'm very tired and my throat is exhausted, so we're gonna try this again, round 2. Okay, so this one got me heated. I'm not ready for this again. Okay, I can't believe I have to reread this. Am I the asshole? Dad told me he feels haunted by my mum, and in response I told him he deserved it for letting his wife replace her for him and my sister. My mum got really sick after she had my sister, 12. She really struggled and had no energy. She got headaches, complained about acne and stuff. It turns out she had a blood clot and it killed her before they found out what was going on. I, 22, was 10 at the time, and it wasn't easy to lose her like that. 2.5 years later, my dad met Brie, and they got married when my sister was 4. And once they married, Brie adopted my sister. Before Brie moved in, we had photos of mum at home, and dad would talk about her to my sister and to me, and he made it a priority for us to spend time with my mum's side of the family. Once Brie moved in, that stopped. I still saw my maternal side of the family, and I hoarded photos of my mum in my room. But it was like Brie moving in suddenly meant mum was an out-of-bounds topic, and I got shut down any time I tried to mention her. Brie would get pissed at me, while dad would pull me aside and suggest I should be more sensitive to Brie's feelings. He told me she didn't deserve to compete with mum. When Brie adopted my sister, I felt a lot of ways about it, none of them positive. I said nothing because it wasn't up to me, and at least she didn't try and adopt me. My dad noticed and kept trying to pull me into the family, but I kept my distance. I tried to stay close to my sister, but she'd get upset that I clearly disliked Brie, and would get confused about us being siblings, but I didn't call Brie mum like she did, and when I tried to explain it, Brie yelled at me and took my sister away. Dad always let her. He told me not to shatter my sister's chance to have a normal family. He told me she deserved a mum, and not just other people's memories of one. I moved out when I was 17 because I graduated early, and I went to stay with some family members for a while. I kept in touch with my sister where I could, but I was completely no contact with Brie and very low contact with my dad. Right now, I'm spending the summer with my grandparents. Dad wanted to know if he could bring my sister over to see us since she hasn't been around our grandparents in almost 7 years, and she hasn't seen me in years either. They asked me, and I was good with that. I wanted to see my sister, and I could tolerate Dad as a result. When they came over, he asked if we could talk, and he confided in me that he feels like Mum's haunting him because he has all these nightmares of her and how upset she is with him. It started when my sister referred to our maternal grandparents as my grandparents, and she said her grandparents were Brie's parents. Both died before Brie and my dad even met. Then he mentioned mum to my sister, and she told him Bree's her only mum and that my mum is different. Oh my god. I'm angry all over again. He told me he never realised she had no concept of the fact she had a birth mum and a mum. I gave Dad shit for calling mum a birth mum and minimising her like that as if she gave my sister up for adoption instead of dying. Dad was like, you know what I mean, and he'd never minimise mum like that, and he loves her. I told him he had a funny way of showing that in the aftermath of her death. And then when he mentioned her haunting him, again I told him he deserved it for letting Bree replace mum. I said he made sure to move fast with Bree so my sister would call her mum, love her like a mum, and so our mum would be a non-concept to her. He told me he still believes she deserved the chance to have a mum. I said he basically raised and replaced mum, so he shouldn't cry to me about it. I left our talk to spend time with my sister, and it was uncomfortable because she didn't want to be around strangers, even if they were my grandparents. She said they weren't hers, and I don't like her mum, so she doesn't want to spend time with me. My grandparents told my dad it might be better if they go home, as he wasn't helping her to understand and we couldn't get through to her. Then I got a long text from my dad about the things I said being insensitive, and even if he's made a lot of mistakes, I'm an arse for wanting to deny him another wife and my sister the chance to have a mum in her life. I didn't reply, still haven't read the whole thing either, but I'm wanting to ask, am I the arsehole? No, baby, you are not. This angers me on so many levels. So first of all, it is not your child's responsibility to manage the emotions of the adults in the house, okay? If Bree is insecure, that's something she has to deal with. It doesn't mean that the daughter doesn't get to have photos of her mum, doesn't get to talk about her mum, isn't allowed to talk to her sister about her mum, so they can keep up this illusion that Bree is her birth mum, and that they have different mums. That is already sickening enough. That he won't even tell the youngest daughter who her real mum is. That's already bad enough, but she does not have to be responsible for that woman's emotions. And the fact that they diminished her emotions, told her to shush, stop talking about the mum, stop caring about the mum, stop bringing the mum up because you're gonna hurt her feelings. Crazy. Like, your responsibility as a parent is to protect your child. That includes physically, emotionally, mentally, and you're not creating a safe environment for her mentally and emotionally. He's also expecting her to be responsible for his feelings too. He wants her to absolve him of his guilt and say, I know I treated you really badly, and now, like, literally I've evicted you as a member of this family because I wouldn't allow space for you to grieve your mum, and I wouldn't allow a space in our lives to honour her existence for the time she was here, for the person she was in your life. But I feel really guilty about that, and my subconscious is making me dream about how mad she is at me. So can you just forgive me so she'll go away? Absolutely fucking not. Deal with it. Whether it's a haunting, whether it's your subconscious mind, like, just catching up with you, your subconscious guilt, whatever it is, let's keep it going, because you deserve that. Because the issue here is not that he got a partner. You know, he gave it a decent amount of time, 2.5 years. Could have been longer.
Stealthy.
But he gave it a decent amount of time before he started dating. That's fine. You're allowed to date. You're allowed to move on. Getting married, not the problem. Wanting to adopt the daughter, not a problem. Like, these in and of themselves are not problems. The problem is the fact that the photos were taken down. She wasn't allowed to talk about her mum. If she did, she would get aggro from both you and your partner. You lied to the little kid that that's her real mum. She can be her real mum, but you're saying that's the one who gave birth to her. That's a lie. That's just a bold-faced lie. And you're denying her chance. You're saying, oh, I want to give her a chance at a real life or, like, a good life. Plenty of people lose their parents and then their parents remarry, and that is a real life and a good life and a chance to have a real family. Those are real family members. You're actually denying her the chance to have a real family and true family and kind family because you're lying to her. You're her only family left and you're lying to her. Like, this man, it just angers me so much. He's their dad. He's the one that is supposed to protect them. He is the one that could have put a stop to that and could have said, hey, you're allowed to feel insecure, but you can't bring that onto my children. My children don't need to nurture your feelings. They're allowed to talk about their mum. We're going to continue to talk about her and honour her. He had the responsibility to do that, and he didn't do that. Secondly, people need to acknowledge that when you're moving into a family dynamic where there's been a bereavement, you do need to honour them and hold space for them. It's not a case of it's their ex and they keep talking about their ex and you're like, this person has died. They didn't choose to lose this person. They didn't say, I don't want a mum anymore, or I don't want this wife anymore. That person was taken from them against their will. There's going to be a lot of pain there, a lot of grief, and it's going to be permanent. And you have to make space for that person. That person, yes, they've physically gone, but they haven't gone anywhere in these people's lives, in their hearts. And you have to make space for that person. You don't replace that person. You're a new welcome addition to the family. You are this person's new partner. You have the potential to be a mother figure in these people's lives, but that is still their mum. And that was still the woman he married, who he thought he'd be with forever. That person needs to be honoured. You know, why are you competing with a ghost? If you want to win, you won, okay? They're not here. They're not coming back.
I'm dead.
Yeah, you're dead. Yeah.
You'll be dead soon.
You get to be here. Like, you've won enough. Why can't you make space for them too? Like, that's the bare minimum you could do. The little bit of sliver you could give them. But you want it all. Like, it's just insane. And now they've isolated this child. And she doesn't have them as family anymore. I mean, good riddance. They don't sound like good people. But if they had been good people, this didn't have to happen. This was so avoidable. Her relationship with her sister, her connection to her dad and this new woman, it could have been so positive if they had just been mature adults who didn't put all of their expectations onto this child. So I think he's a massive arsehole, and she's of course not the arsehole. And it's a horrible situation. And she had every right to say he deserved to continue to be haunted, because he does, until you are forgiven. Feel that guilt. So Light in the Dark 77 says 777, too many numbers. Says, not the arsehole, not even one bit. It sounds like your dad is experiencing the natural consequences of his choices after your mum passed, whether he fully realised those choices at the time or not. Your dad may be dreaming about your mum because his subconscious is trying to reconcile guilt or unresolved emotions. Yes. Not because you said anything wrong, and definitely not because your mum is haunting him. The pain and confusion your sister is experiencing now, and your own grief, are both rooted in how your mum's memory was handled in your family. You've carried a lot and simply spoke your truth. That's not being cruel, it's being honest. You're not responsible for his choices, or how he's feeling now. It's okay to set boundaries and protect your mum's memory. Stay strong, OP. I'm sure your mum is proud of you. Hugs. So true. And they just summed it up so perfectly as well. Catnapped says, it sounds like Bree is really insecure about your mum, and your dad has gone overboard to pander to that insecurity. The reality is that Bree could have had a mother role in both of your lives as the stepmom, as long as both she and your father got their shit in line. The fact your father is still catering to Bree's insecurities means that he hasn't learned a damn thing. Time to sit down with your grandparents and discuss where to go from here. Be prepared though. It sounds like your sister could be pushing into the confirmation bias area. That's basically where someone is so convinced that their belief is correct that they can't see the truth, even when they're presented with all of the facts. Keep possible channels of communication open for your sister to reach out in the future. It sounds like your father and Bree have really screwed with her head. That's the thing as well, and it just annoys me. And I think a lot of people lack a lot of emotional maturity, especially when it comes to relationships. I think they think so long as you're attracted to your partner, that's all that matters, and you guys can move forward and not worry about anything else. No. Other things, context has to be taken into consideration. Entering a relationship with someone who is like single, is not, a widow, is completely fucking different to entering a relationship with someone who is a widow. You have to be really secure in your connection with them, and you have to be willing to honour the memory of the person that was gone, because their feelings matter as well. In this relationship, it's not the same. And I think people who are maybe only really equipped to go into relationships with people who have no history or relationships with others, they're instead going into the most serious type of relationships where the person is either widowed or has a baby with somebody else and has to co-parent, and they're expecting them to push all that to the side for them. It's like, no, this works as a unit. You have to work with what the context is, okay? This is their dynamic. This is what you're moving into. It's not, I can clear that out while I'm here. It's, you. How do you fit in here? Okay, think about that. You're not replacing people. It's just, yeah. People don't think about these things before they enter these types of relationships, and then everybody gets hurt. Mostly the children. Okay, this one, I didn't understand why they got the arsehole verdict. I'm still befuddled. But here we go. Maybe reading it a second time might give me clarity. I don't know, but I'm apparently in the minority of the takes here. But we have, am I the arsehole for telling my sister-in-law that her house is haunted? So I'm 29 female, my sister-in-law is 42 female. She inherited her dad's old farmhouse back some years ago after his passing, and for the past month she's been renovating the place. She asked for me and my husband to help, as her husband has a bad back and can't do much. So my husband, myself, and our 3 kids have been staying at this house with her for the past couple of weeks. The house isn't in bad shape or anything, and most of the issues we're running into is plumbing or cosmetic. The frames, walls, roof are solid, which is impressive considering the age and how long it's been in the family. It was built in the late 1800s. I do want to point out that I'm in no way paranormally inclined. I can't see things or anything like that, but I can sense shit. So basically your average person. You know, I'm not afraid of it, but something is definitely off about this house, beyond your expected old house sounds. Like lights turning on and off by themselves, doors opening and closing, or leaving something somewhere and it being in a completely different spot when you go back to it. Like yesterday, I put the hammer on the windowsill and went to grab the paint scraper by the door, and when I turned back, the hammer was on top of the ladder behind me, which I wasn't near. Or my favourite, it's irritating, I have opened a canned soda twice, taken one sip, and when I go back to the soda, it's gone. And no, my kids are not in the room with me when this stuff happens, I'm all alone when it does. But last night was weird. I woke up several times to the sensation of being shaken, and the last 2 times, I could vividly hear the word hey close to my ear. My husband and kids were all asleep. So this morning over coffee, I made some backhanded comment of your house is haunted, and sister-in-law freaks out, tells me to shut up and that I'm an asshole for putting that in her head. I didn't even tell her what happened, but now she doesn't want to go back into the house and has been working in the yard. She says I completely ruined her idea of this house and should have kept my mouth shut. Am I the arsehole? So no, right? I've reread this now. No. I don't know where I've gone wrong, but no. Like, what? Like, you can't predict that this would have pissed her off. That is a big reaction to something that is fine to say. It's not like she walked in and you said, oh, you're bloody ugly in the morning, which is of course offensive. How is it offensive to say that, you know, you've experienced some paranormal activity in this person's house? This big reaction tells me she has likely experienced something, so we're gonna need an update on this, but she has likely experienced something and you've just confirmed it for her, and now she's freaked and she doesn't want to be in the house. But to tell you to shut up and keep your mouth shut is just so rude and such a big reaction. Bear in mind, I imagine you're helping her for free, right? You've been there for a few weeks, you've uprooted your lives to help her renovate her house, which, you know, doesn't make a difference to you. Like, you're doing something kind for her, you're doing a favour, and this is how she's acting, like very disrespectful, telling you to shut up, telling you to shut your mouth. I just think she's the asshole, to be honest. I cannot imagine you being the asshole in this situation. What makes you wrong for wanting to talk about what you've experienced? Additionally, it's awkward in the morning, you're chit-chatting, you're making your coffee, how's your night? First question that usually comes up, how did you sleep? Not great, Susan. A ghost was whispering hey to me and shaking me. Like, why would I not say that? Why would I go, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it was all good. This is the first thing I would say. I'm running down the stairs. Guys, something happened to me last night. Can someone explain it, or let's get out of here? Okay, it's the first thing I'm saying. They're like, Katie, why are you packing your bags and getting in a cab? Bitch, I'm gone. Your house is haunted. Like, why can you not say it? And this is the thing. The first few stories we had, you're an asshole if you don't say it. But now we're seeing you're an asshole if you do say it as well. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. People are just so... You're never going to please everybody, okay? So just do you. You didn't do anything wrong. Alright, love? Jesus. Okay. So, Boring Pants says, you don't get to say, I'm not paranormally inclined, just a normal person, and then ascribe literally everything you encountered in your life to ghosts. That's not how it works. However, on a more serious note, check for carbon monoxide leaks. Yes. First of all, check for carbon monoxide leaks. Secondly, no, because to the rest of what this person said, this commenter said, because they're saying you can't say you're not paranormally inclined, just a normal person. and then say everything in your life is down to ghosts. She didn't say everything in her life was down to ghosts. She said her experiences for the past few weeks in this house were down to ghosts, and you can change your mind. Like, you know, additionally, she didn't say she didn't believe in ghosts. She said she doesn't feel like she is gifted in terms of sight, like seeing a ghost or being able to tell a place is haunted. However, sometimes you can get a sense, which is what normal, ordinary people feel. That's what she's saying. She's not saying ghosts don't exist to her. She's saying she doesn't have any sort of gift. And that is fine. You can say those two things. I don't believe I have a gift, but I also think a ghost reached out to me. That's fine. Because the ghost in that scenario is the one with the power, not you. Those are things that you can say together. And I don't see how saying those things together makes you the arsehole. Additionally, how was she supposed to know that that lady was going to react that way? Unless we're missing some context where she knows that this person is terrified of ghosts. But we don't have that context. We can only go off what we see. And what we see is that she didn't know that that was going to trigger her. And it has. That's not her problem. That's not her problem. Professional Ruin 953 said you're American, I'm assuming. A suspected haunting reduces a property value by 1/3. But of course your sister has just paid full whack on inheritance tax. Aren't you a peach to be causing this problem for her? You're the arsehole. And someone said, oh, I like how you think. What? Like, how, again, how's that her problem? Secondly, she ain't trying to sell it. She's doing it up to live in it, right? Like, so what's your deal about, oh, it reduces the property value? First of all, no one knows. Secondly, you don't have to declare it. Thirdly, she's not trying to sell it. She's doing it up for herself. Like, everything you said's irrelevant. So it's not something that's going to make her the arsehole here, in my opinion. Devilita says, yup, you're the arsehole here, but I might just be saying that because I don't believe in these haunted house stuffs. Even if I did, why would you say anything? If my sister-in-law was happy in the house, I'd just not say anything. Maybe the ghost only has a problem with you and is haunting you, not the house or anything else in it. If your sister-in-law came and talked to you about these spooky stuff, then you could have shared. So you have to wait for someone to say it before you say it, because then you're an arsehole. But then surely by that logic, anyone who says it first is the arsehole. Like, if you're gonna be the arsehole anyway, you should just get to talk about it. Like, to me, it's just some fun chat in the morning, but also, if I'm genuinely, like, freaked out, I'm gonna bring it up to the person who lives there, because I'm like, so why is this happening to me? Have you got stories that you need to tell me? I'm not gonna expect you to blow up at that. I'm gonna expect you to help me out, because I was the one getting touched by a ghost, okay? So I was the one getting sweet talked to in the middle of the night. So I'm the one with the problems, and I'm the one that needs help. So I don't know why you're getting upset, Susan, okay? Like, this is what I'm not getting. Like, not the arsehole. I said it, and I'm right. She's not the arsehole. Okay, this one is our last story for today. So we have, am I the arsehole for being mad that my husband let us buy a possibly haunted house? So I would say, straight off the bat, no, you're not the arsehole if he knew. You are if he didn't. Okay, but let's get into it. We're in our early 30s with kids. We decided to sell our home and upgrade to a bigger one. We were looking for houses for a couple months, finding it frustrating, getting outbidded, but then his co-worker was selling his house and we thought we might be interested. Me and my husband went over for dinner, we had a good time, got a good look at the house, really liked it, it had everything we were looking for, and so we went into negotiations and we moved in July. Living in the house has been nice so far, but recently I ran into the co-worker's wife at the supermarket and we were chatting about the house. I mentioned how I'm starting to decorate for the fall and she said all the spooky decorations will make the ghost feel at home, and laughed. I was really confused and asked her what she meant, and she seemed equally confused. She said she and the kids had weird experiences. Bad nightmares, doors slamming, other weird noises, creepy auras, and that they thought the house was haunted because of that. She assumed my husband had mentioned this to me and we were on the same page, that we didn't care. Well, we were not on the same page. My husband never told me. For background, my husband is a very skeptical and rational man. I confronted him and he said he didn't tell me because 1, his co-worker said he'd never experienced anything, so it was just the wife and kids. Oh, I'm smelling misogyny. That's point 1. That's strike 1. Point 2, he knew I'd get irrational.
Huh? What's that?
Yes, this is a misogynistic man, run for the hills, and be scared even though the house is perfect for us. Point number 3, ghosts are not real anyway. This would not work for me. He insisted that he did not withhold information about the house itself. It was just irrelevant information about the co-worker's family and their beliefs. I'm frustrated that he let us buy this house without telling me. I now feel scared in my own home. I don't feel safe here at night anymore, and every noise puts me on edge. I've been looking for a sale on cameras so we can record inside the house and see if we can identify if any spirits are visiting. I also told our children about it so they can be safe and aware, but my husband is mad at me because they're scared now too. I'm hoping that the previous family was either hallucinating, but both the wife and kids, or that the spirits travelled with them to their new house. I'm not sure what I will do if they are actually here. My husband is not being very considerate of my fears and just keeps insisting ghosts are not real. He says I have no right to be mad and throw our family into turmoil over this. I know what he believes, but it's not what I believe, and he put us in this situation. So am I the asshole? Okay. You're the asshole, but not for the reason you think. Like, you're an asshole for telling your children. Because your responsibility as a parent is to protect your children, you know, physically, mentally, emotionally, everything. Is telling your children that ghosts are in the house, protecting them mentally and emotionally? No. It's scaring them. You're frightening them. Your job is to protect those children and you're scaring them. You know, your job is to tell them the boogeyman isn't under the bed. You've checked 10 times. The closet's empty. You're not supposed to say, yeah, they're in there. Anyways, good luck. Have a nice night. Sleep tight, alright? Don't let the boogeyman bite. Like, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to tell them nothing's there. That's what you're supposed to do. So I would actually go back to the children and say, like, oh, sorry, I got it wrong. That woman lied. There are no ghosts. Like, I would just make something up and rectify that, because that needs to be priority 101 for you to be a good parent. You need to put their safety and their comfort first. They need to feel comfortable and safe coming home and sleeping in that house. But your husband is an asshole as well. And it's because he's a misogynist, it's not because of the ghosts. So he said 3 things, okay, motherfucker? He said, first of all, it's not worth listening to or believing in because only the wife and kids said it. Meaning, if the man had said it, he would have believed him, but it came from an invalid source. It's just crazy women and children, right? His little old Victorian misogynistic beliefs are running rampant in that man's mind. And you've probably realised that you are stuck in a marriage with a misogynistic man with children. And even though it's really hard to address that, it needs to be addressed. But I think because it's so hard to address, instead you're hiding behind the problem of the ghosts. The problem isn't the ghosts, the problem is the man. And you should be addressing with him that his beliefs are not okay, and the way he talks to you is not okay, and deals with things is not okay. And then go from there, based on his response. Point 2, he called her irrational. That is basically the misogynistic's playbook for dismissing women's feelings. Call her hysterical, call her irrational. Diminish until she stops talking, okay? And then point number 3, saying ghosts aren't real anyway. It's great, it's fine that he believes that. He's allowed to believe what he wants to believe. But what he believes does not determine what they should do, and it doesn't dictate what others believe in the house as well. She had just as much of a right to know all the information about this house that she was purchasing before purchasing it, because they were both making this decision, they were both making this purchase. They had every right to know all the info. He did not have a right to keep it from her and make the decision on his own that this house is one they would all want to move into, regardless of whether it's haunted or not, because he personally believes ghosts don't exist. This is a partnership, it works 2 ways. You both make the decisions, you're both involved. You don't get to make the decisions for everybody. And again, that's a very worrying behaviour from him. A very misogynistic behaviour, a very misogynistic viewpoint. I'm the man, I'll make the decisions, I won't believe the women and kids, and I'll call you all crazy. How about that? Sounds like a lovely life. Who wouldn't want that? So I think her problem is actually her husband. And she's using the ghost story to hide behind the fact that she wants to address her anger with him at this, but she doesn't know how to. Because how do you admit to yourself that the person you picked, who you're now married to, who you now have children with, who you now own a house with, is maybe not the best person? How do you admit that to yourself? It's really hard. How do you address it with them? It's really hard. So you end up doing things like this, where you pretend the problem is one thing when actually it's something else, much deeper. And I think that's what the real problem is here. If we take a look at the ghost stuff, real quick, and entertain the idea that it is real. She hasn't experienced anything. She doesn't need to have this reaction. She doesn't need to worry. She doesn't need to run around telling everyone or get scared. She hasn't experienced anything. Only those people did. So as she said, she's hoping the ghost went with them. They probably have, because you've not experienced anything. Secondly, you don't need to get worried until you have that experience. You don't need to, feeling scared is fine. But, getting paranoid and telling your children and, living life on edge, that's not a healthy response to it. And if you're really struggling that much, maybe go speak to a professional about it, a therapist or somebody, a psychiatrist, because they'll be able to help you with that paranoia. All in all, I think both parents are the assholes, but for different reasons. She should not have told her children that. That's not what a caring and considerate parent would do, or a responsible parent would do. And he's a misogynistic prick, so that's my take. Share Mum 4 said, "You're the asshole. You told your children, ? Why? So that they can be scared and paranoid as well. You haven't experienced anything and wouldn't have known the difference had the former owner not said anything. Your husband did nothing wrong, but needlessly traumatizing your children is very wrong." The husband did something wrong. But yes, traumatizing the children is very wrong. The young Greasy said, "Yeah, this detail makes her the arsehole without a doubt. Why would you intentionally cause your kids panic? What the fuck is wrong with people?" They also said get carbon monoxide testing. I would. I know they haven't experienced anything yet. But just everyone should do it anyway. It's always good to do, especially if you're in an old house. But also, it's just preventative. Why wait to experience something and then find out it's carbon monoxide poisoning? Just get it done. Find out straight away, Okay, and a deleted commenter said, "Best part, she wasn't scared for months at all, but suddenly it became a scary, hostile environment the moment she was told it was haunted. Placebo is a fascinating thing." Very true. It does go to show that placebo effect can be a real powerful thing, but I don't think it's that. I think it's her marital issues manifesting through the ghost stories, which is what ghost stories are used for in novels and in movies. It's to talk about the deeper issues going on that are harder to address, so it's spoken about through ghost stories instead. Morgan and Merlin said, "Wait, but I kind of like this story, so what the hell? You're the asshole. Even if you prescribe to the belief of spirits, and I'm not knocking you for that, there was no reason to purposely frighten your children, so you're the asshole just for that. Also, where are you buying these special cameras that will catch spirits? Because if those exist, a whole lot of arguments could be settled." Apparently you can get one. I don't know if that's true, but apparently you can. So yeah, all in all, final verdict, you're the asshole for telling your children. You're not the asshole for being mad. You're allowed to feel how you want to feel. That was the second point I forgot. He said she had no right to be mad. You have every right to feel what you want to feel. It's about how you express that feeling, whether or not that's right or wrong. But your feelings, you're entitled to. You can feel however you want to feel. So him trying to control that is already really fucking weird. But for example, let's say, in this case, I think the way he spoke to her was wrong. So she's allowed to feel mad about that. His beliefs underneath those words are wrong. And she's allowed to be mad about that. Although that doesn't seem to be her focus. She's allowed to be mad. But she's not allowed to use that anger to fuel her action to go and tell her children that there are ghosts in the house. That's not fair. That's not fair to those children. Secondly, even if someone did something that was really, really wrong to you and you're mad, you're allowed to feel mad. You're not allowed to take that anger out on them though. Even in the event that they are the asshole. You can talk about it if you want to. You can leave it if you want to. You can leave them if you want to. But you don't get to take it out on anybody. So that's what makes someone wrong. It's not the feeling. The feeling is fine. You're allowed to have those feelings. So him saying that, I don't like this one. Okay, I don't like this fella. But yeah, the asshole, but not for the things you asked about. It's for something else. Okay, so that was today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a like, comment, subscribe. And also, announcement, I have started a TikTok and an Instagram where you'll get tarot readings every day, maybe sometimes some behind the scenes of what's going on, maybe, or maybe little snippets of videos here and there. But if you're interested in any of that, go over there, give me a follow, watch some videos, give me some likes, give me some comments. Thanks, guys. If not, Don't. Okay. But other than that, I hope you have a lovely Halloween, or had a lovely Halloween depending on when I post this, and have a lovely rest of your day, guys. Bye.